Previously, we spoke about al-gham and how it is the starting point and augmenter of many negative psychological conditions that afflict the natural healthy state of the soul. We learned that al-gham, distress or anxiety, if left untreated, can give rise to harmful conditions. Al-Balkhi specifically warns us about the 4 core conditions, one that he describes as the 4 symptoms of the soul that will have a connection to the workings of the body, which when aggravated can cause physical harm and bodily illness. These conditions, which we understand have implications for our overall health, both physical and internal. The first condition Al-Balkhi talks about is anger. This is one we must be extra wary of, as a rage of anger can agitate the soul and the body in a way that no other symptom can. This is because anger can also have somatic symptoms caused by nervousness associated with it. It leads individuals to a state with increased circulation of blood, increased body temperatures, and uncontrolled movements. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu has a great quote that emphasizes the potential cause of anger. He says, "Don't let your anger be destructive, because when you're in a fit of rage and hatred, then all you will desire for your companion is destruction." This is partly why anger is mentioned first by Al-Balkhi. Anger is a very destructive condition that causes one to lose control of their own thoughts and actions. Al-Balkhi says in extreme cases where anger is in control of a person, they're going to look like a madman. The next condition he speaks about is terror or fear. If a person encounters excessive amounts of fear, it can lead to terror or panic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah tells us that we will be surely tested by fear, hunger, and a decrease in property, life, and crops. But glad tidings are with those who are patient. This means that no matter what, everyone will face some amount of fear in their life, but the best of them are the ones that remain patient and don't let it afflict them. Similarly to anger, fear can have some somatic symptoms, such as the change in a person's color, because the blood rushes to the surface of the body, to the internal organs, and the limbs begin to shake uncontrollably and will fail to perform their natural functions. This is a very dangerous state, where one's thinking may become clouded, and when paralyzed by it, they will fail to find a solution to the fearful situations they're in. Al-Balkhi specifically says that fear is caused by an overwhelming sensation which the person has neither thought of or experienced before. The third condition he talks about is sadness or depression. When sadness is intensified, it leads to depression or melancholy. Al-Balkhi says that the cause of sadness is the loss of something they like or love, and the deprivation of that thing is what results in sadness or grief. When a person suffers from this intense state, it will lead them to a feeling of utter hopelessness and also impatience. He uses the Arabic word jaza', which is the impatience of dealing with calamity causing the sadness. Like the other conditions, this state can lead to certain unpleasant reactions. When someone suffers from this state, it may lead them to hurting themselves or behaving like someone who has lost their mind and integrity. This person may also lose grip of consciousness of their emotional state. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah says in this ayah to the believers during Uhud, when they were outmatched and lost all hope, He says, "And do not be weak, and do not be sad, for all of you will have the upper hand if you are true believers." Allah assured the companions that as true believers, we shouldn't get sad or hopeless, that we should remain resilient because Allah has blessed us with the upper hand, meaning Islam. Now, doesn't this remind you of the present struggles of our sisters and brothers in Gaza? They currently live day to day not knowing if they'll make it tonight, and at night they don't know if they're going to make it to the morning. Despite enduring atrocities and genocide for over months now, the people of Gaza refuse to lose hope and remain steadfast in the promise of Allah. They stand as a perfect example for all of us to learn from, and that no matter how dark the times we live in are, no matter how much uncertainty we face, we must remind ourselves and know that no matter what, in the eyes of Allah, we have the upper hand because as believers, we have Allah on our side. The last and final condition that Al-Balkhi mentions is obsession of the inner thoughts. When describing this condition, he touches on symptoms and characteristics of what we know today to be called obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. This is a condition in which Al-Balkhi notes is a persistence of the human heart or mind causing repetitive, repulsive, or immoral thoughts. These thoughts lead a person into emotional turmoil that results in apprehension and unhappiness that deprives individuals from enjoying the pleasures of body and soul. In this state, one feels compelled to engage in constant and repetitive actions to feel consumed by compulsions and unwanted thoughts they experience. However, it is also mentioned that people may develop negative thoughts about themselves and may be easily swayed by the shaitan's waswasa, or whisper. Al-Balkhi speaks a lot about this condition due to the difficulty of diagnosing and treating this condition. All four of these soul-related symptoms, Al-Balkhi notes the potential and pretty much eventual influence it will have on one's physical health. Recognizing the interconnectedness of physical and soul-related illnesses, Al-Balkhi focuses the next chapter of his manuscript, Sustenance of the Soul, on understanding these conditions and providing mental maneuvers, both preventative and interventive measures, to address and pursue a healthy, balanced state of one's overall well-being. So just like any bodily illness will lead someone to searching for a form of medical treatment, the treatments for these conditions should also be sought after, which is what we will do together in the next videos.